Start streaming. All right, we should be good. All right, there we go. Hopefully that holds. All right, we ready to do this thing?
Yep.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, here we go in 3, 2, 1.
Just drop that ass, bitch, it's Open Micers in the house. Pop that pussy with that Open Micers logo in your mouth. Jason with his bald ass head, Jacob looking in bed. It's Open Micers, bitch, heard what I said. Drop that ass, Open Micers in the house. Drop that ass, pop that pussy, Open Micers in the house. Open Micers in the house, Open Micers is a mouse. Drop that ass, pop that pussy, Open Micers in the house. The mic is now open.
That's right. The mic is now open. My name is Jason Robbins.
I'm Jacob Craig, and I get moved more and more by our theme song every week. Just really brings me to tears and makes me just give all glory to God, because I mean, he is the only person that could allow one of his creations to create music so beautiful. So this is just, if you don't like our theme song, just blame it on the Christian God, is what I'm trying to say. It's all his fault.
It is
Man, I hope that we get to have an episode tonight without incident. The weather is very bad here while we're recording it. We've got like active tornadoes everywhere, and I may or may not poop my pants because I had shrimp for dinner. So we'll just see how the night goes in terms of all the incidents. But we are joined. I'm very excited for this episode because it's not often anymore where we talk to like an actual open micer. Now, don't get me wrong. We big up the local comics, right? We talk to, any musician that wants to come on and promote anything. And we try our best to get, national acts on. And that's, I think 80% of the comedians that we have on anymore are big national acts because we're just lucky enough to be able to do that. This is the first episode in, I think, years where we are actually joined by an honest to goodness open micer who is not only going to tell us his origins in comedy, he's going to be making them after this episode airs because he is still making his own story. It is the one and only, right out of Mobile, Alabama, one of the finest of the new class there, Mikey. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great, man. Thanks for having me on.
No problem, dude. Thanks for coming on. I'm glad we finally got you on here, dude. We canceled on you the first time. You canceled on us a couple of times. I'm glad we could finally get it worked out.
We only give you so many cancellations before we just don't allow you on the show anymore. So.
Yeah. You hear that?
Yeah.
Jake from Joke World?
Yeah.
I love your videos, but you rescheduled on us 12 times, and now you're never going to be invited back.
12 times?
Brother, look, he is the reason for my set now very hard three strikes and you're out rule. If I have to reschedule with somebody more than 3 times, I'm just not going to do it anymore.
Jesus.
Because he asked us to reschedule 12 times.
And who is this again?
Do you know the Joke World YouTube channel?
No, I haven't seen that.
You would like it. It's he does like comedy news updates, covers stuff from all the big podcasts. He makes just cool, fun little videos. And I think Mark Norman follows him. He interviewed Tom Segura this year. The guy behind that channel was going to come on and do an interview with us, but he was talking about how he doesn't have Wi-Fi and he's in the middle of the move and all that. And I'm like, I don't know how you're uploading multiple videos a week with no Wi-Fi, but if you can't figure that out for us, then we don't want it. We don't want that toxic energy in our lives.
Big time in us. He's big time in us is what's happening.
Big time in us. Mikey, I know I'm calling you Mikey because that's what you sign up as at the open mics. What makes you sign up as just Mikey and not Michael Werneth?
I don't know. I just think Mikey sounds better off the tongue. Werneth is kind of a hard name to read off a paper. So I just want to cut that out right from the start.
So you just want to be a one-name comic?
Well, I usually sign up as a Mikey Wernburner, W-E-R Burner, W-E-R-N Burner. It just sounds cooler than Werneth, I think, too.
Yeah. People are, if you get like really famous, people are gonna think that's your real last name and be like, "Are you Jewish?" I went to school with some worm burners.
Oh man, I wish I was Jewish sometimes.
Okay. Shout out to the Jews on this episode.
Oh,
I like where this is headed. Um, so you are an open mic comedian currently out of Mobile. I kind of already know a little bit of your comedy origins, but we're going to get into it for the people who have never met you before. Walk me through your first ever time doing an open mic and how long ago was this?
uh, I think it was in either late March or like the beginning of April.
Okay.
Um, I remember going to a couple open mics and just seeing a couple of the Mobile comedians on there, and I was like, I could do this. You know what I mean?
They were that bad, huh?
I'm not saying any names. I love them all, but I was like, yeah, I could do this. I can make people laugh like at least a little bit better than they can. You know what I mean? And I remember my first mic at Brader River. I was so nervous. I got shit-faced drunk, and I did pretty well. I got a shit ton of laughs, and I was hooked instantly.
That's good.
Yeah, but that's
Yeah,
the
that's
thing. If you don't want to get that too many laughs at the very first open mic, which usually a lot of people do. But then you got that long crawl, like downward spiral, where you just suck for about 6 months before you start getting laughs
yeah.
again.
Or in
It's
Jason's
like
case, 7 years.
Yeah, 7 years.
it was right around that like 10th time mark when it started declining.
Yeah.
Wow, you went 10 times before it started declining. You must have had a lot of friends and family there.
Yeah, yeah, I had a bunch of people filling up mics for a little bit, and then they just stopped coming.
Yeah. And you've started comedy in sort of a renaissance on the Gulf Coast too, where we've been through it to where like the old landmass guys moved out and then there's nothing and then something starts back up and then other people move out and then there's nothing to do. Like right now it seems like there's actually a lot of open mics and places to do time in Mobile.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy about that because I was kind of like one of the no, obviously I was kind of one of the first of the newcomers to like start open mics because now I started one on Sundays and it lasted a few months before the owner kind of got tired of it. And he was like forcing us out because the regulars wasn't coming back and it just wasn't making money. It was kind of like stale.
Yeah.
Um, and then a couple of my friends that I brought into it or came into it with me started their open mics, like Nick Brackett, Matt Johnson, and Ryan Deacle have their own mic. And I started a new mic on Tuesdays before Krangus's mic at Ocean Springs.
Where's that at?
It's at Oyster City Brewing Company, downtown Mobile.
Oh, okay, okay. For some reason, I thought that it was like in Ocean Springs. I don't know why I thought that. Yeah, man. I mean, I feel like Mobile, which it sucks that the music box did just shut down, but I feel like because of that, that's gonna leave a power vacuum too for like the next big Mobile spot.
I agree because I'm not sure where Zeke is going to start going, but he just rebooked Uncle Laser to I think Alchemy. So Alchemy
Really?
might make some moves.
Yeah, see, because I thought it was going to be the Merry Widow that they were going to start booking the bigger acts too.
I thought so too.
So what
But
is
that sucks, dude. Like, speak a little bit too on like the legacy of the Alabama Music Box for you, because I know you were on the last show there.
That's actually where I saw it was his Bartenders Do Comedy event, Zeke's Bartenders Do
Mhm.
Comedy event. And one of my buddies, Nick Brackett, I went with him because he was performing. And that was the first show in Mobile I went to, and I was like, man, this is awesome. Uh, and then I kind of dreamed about being on that stage from the very start, and I finally got on there to the last Bartenders Do Comedy event this past November or October, and it was just kind of surreal. I love the music box. The stage is just a beautiful place to do comedy. You just fit a bunch of people in there. good cheap beer. We've had a lot of great shows and events there. A lot of good people come out to the music box.
Yeah. Yeah, I was thinking about it just like from my personal journey, after like they officially announced it was going to be closed down. Like, me and Jason went to the first ever show there that was after the TJ Miller show, which was like I think the first time they'd ever done comedy there. Me and Jason were on the first like closed mic showcase, and I won first place on it, and I think Jason won second or third. I don't remember which one.
I don't even remember.
Yeah, it's something like that. But we were in like the top 3 comics with Ryan Adams, and like 2 being able to open for Mick Foley, Ben Bailey. Like I've opened for tons of people in that building. And me and Zeke not too long ago were talking about me like headlining a Sunday there. And now it's just like completely gone. And I'm going to go by an empty building and be like, I used to do something in there.
Seems like the kind of place that they could have found somebody to take it over instead of just shutting it down. Because that place has a lot of history to it. And it's such a cool place right there in the middle of everything. Like it's the perfect spot.
Yeah, I agree. And I think there was somebody looking to buy it, or they were trying to rally people to buy it and kind of keep it open for live arts. But I don't think anything has happened yet.
Yeah. What are some of y'all? Do y'all have like any crazy stories that happened at the box? Because I know that there was like constantly shit popping off there.
Not personally. I've had a lot of crazy instances at the old music box, which is further down Dolphin, and it was just just kind of a karaoke bar, and then the upstairs was kind of a place where people go to do drugs and
Hell yeah.
just kind of chill.
Yeah.
But none of this one, other than just some good times at some live shows.
Jason, what about you?
Well, I mean, my favorite memory of the music box is you almost getting your ass kicked several times.
Yeah. He says almost like I didn't come out on the better end of every single altercation.
I don't know.
But
seeing Sean Patton there was great. Like that was awesome.
Yeah, that was a surreal moment too.
Yeah.
Oh, just multiple times I had gotten in fist fights at the Alabama Music Box.
No way.
Yeah, dude. For whatever reason, during comedy shows. The one that sticks in my mind the most is like it was this big comedy competition. There was like 24 comics there. I went up on the back end, and there was this one like fucking like hack open micer less than a year in, who had already like rubbed a bunch of people the wrong way in Ocean Springs. And I'm like, oh, great, this guy's here, but I'm kind of just trying to be nice and like stay out of his way. And he brings like everyone he's ever met to this place to like cheer for him so he'll win whatever the prize was. And none of them actually understood comedy. So like this lady came outside and was asking me something about one of my jokes and was like, why would you think that's funny? That's not funny. Like, you're not funny. And it ended in like her boyfriend or fiance or whatever, like swinging on me. Yeah.
Oh my God.
It was no. So he swung on me and I ducked it, and I was about to hit him back when his girl got in between us. And I was like, I don't want to throw one at this guy and accidentally hit her, because then I'm going to go to jail. And I was completely unaware that there were like 5 comics that I had just met that night behind me who were ready to fucking jump this guy for me. And I was like, dude, this is why I love comedy. Shout out to freaking Devin Emicky, dude. He was one of the guys from Pensacola. He was the biggest one. He came up behind me and was like, what was that guy's problem? I would have beat the shit out of that guy.
And I was inside just waiting to hear who won the competition, and then Jacob comes in a little while later, like, almost got in a fight outside. Like, again? Really?
I thought you were about to say you're inside waiting to see if Jacob got beat up or not.
Well, I'm just always waiting on that. I mean,
I just picture you looking through the window.
Get him. Get him. There was one time too where I had a show at the Electric Piano Parlor down the street, And then we hit up Zeke, and he said, "Yeah, there's a punk rock show tonight. You guys can come on through." And so he got us in to see it, and we got into the mosh pit, and there was this like real little dude, like the very top of his head kind of came up to like my lips, and we were in the mosh pit, and he backs up and he feels me behind him, looks behind him, and then jumps and breaks my nose with the top of his head. And I'm just squirting blood all over the floor, and I'm holding my nose. And then he turns around and looks at me and like smiles. And I'm like, I should leave right now, dude. I should leave right now. I go out into the street and like start blowing my nose into the street. Yeah, I've had some rough times at the Alabama Music Box, dude. But it was the biggest adventure performing there out of like any other Mobile spot. Like I don't have those stories about any other place in Mobile.
Yeah, and luckily I met like one of my biggest connections, and he's a Orlando comic. His name is Patrick Sisk. I had the pleasure of hosting for him there not too long ago, and he was the first like headlining comic that I've met, and he was just cool from the start. You know, it wasn't like I can't talk to any of y'all. Like he was instantly just fucking around with me from the beginning, and I love the dude.
Yeah, that's what a lot of those guys are like, I think, at least like the better ones. Because I will say that like 95% of the shows that I was on at the Music Box, I'd go into the green room and meet the headliners, and they'd be chill with me or whatever. And then there's like that 5%, which is like two guys who are like, what the fuck are you still doing in here?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But there's a lot of that.
So what does the the Mobile scene? What's it looking like these days? Because me and Jacob haven't been over there in a while.
It's getting better. We have a mic every night of the week except for Saturday now, and now we're just working on getting crowd, and we've been doing a good job of getting a lot of people back in. We've been messing around with like getting people's emails, just to get the crowd, because that's all we're missing in the scene, I think. And then, we have some really good veterans from the Mobile, as you know. So we're just waiting for the next wave, like me and my friends, to get better, so we can start filling some of the top tier spots.
Yeah.
There's actually the old Crescent Theater
I
on
think
Dolphin
so.
Street. So that just got bought and reopened, and that was the cinema that I did. I think I told you about.
Yeah.
But it's a movie theater, and the dude who owns it, his name is Zaire. He pushes out movies. I think he just did a movie for George Lopez, and he's been doing like comedy, open mics, and comedy and poet mics. So that's like a really, really sick venue that we got in Mobile. We're about to start doing shows at.
That's awesome, man. So what kind of place is it? Like, is it more like a theater, or is it an actual like movie theater like type seating?
It's a movie theater type seating. So
Nice.
the seating goes up. It has a screen, and then we usually do comedy like right under the screen. He'll put like a DJ in the back corner or whatever, and it's just an awesome experience.
Yeah, I think that's something that's like a little hole in the wall spot, like a little like local thing that I think a lot of bigger comics would be into too. So I noticed you were telling Neil Rubenstein about that at the Ben Bailey show, and he was like really interested in it. He's like, "It's a movie theater, and you guys are doing comedy there? Like that sounds so freaking awesome."
Yeah, it was an experience. It was the biggest room I've done. It was like nearly 100 people,
Nice.
and it was an all black crowd, or a mostly black crowd, and that was the first time I've ever performed in a crowd like that, and
Boo.
it was fucking awesome. It was
Yeah.
so cool.
Well, we had gotten into a personal talk about that too. I think about like the differences between performing for black crowds and white crowds. I think that's something a lot of comics don't take into account too. That like it very much is a different thing. Like you really have to tailor your entire style differently because like if you don't get to the punchline, you're not going to be respected at all.
Yeah. I was when I was getting ready to do it, I had they had the date picked out, for the show, and it was getting closer and closer to that day, and I think it was like a night or two or the week before, and I was talking to Eli Thomas, my brother from another mother. Got to give him a shout out. He told me to.
No, just because they tell you to say it, it's a trap. Never say it.
No, but I was asking him. I was like, I'm nervous. What? How do I do this? And he's like, man, just go in there and be yourself. And I did. And he was like, they're there to laugh. Just remember that. That crowd is there to laugh. And it was an experience.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I remember specifically my first time ever like being at a mic, and this was at the old the Blind Mule when that was still like the central hub of comedy in Mobile. And I showed up and did the mic, and I'd already done it 2 or 3 times or whatever. And it just so happened to be an all black crowd at an open mic, and I was kind of caught off guard. I was like, "What? Oh no, what do I do?" And like I had like jokes I was nervous about doing and pulling the trigger on, and they could just tell that I was like kind of skittish about the whole thing, and so they just like heckled me off the freaking stage, dude. It was so rough.
Yeah, I had them. It was shaky at the beginning. I was nervous. The mic kept dying. It was a wireless mic, and
Never, ever use wireless mics at a comedy show.
You know that firsthand watching my Don't Tell segment. Yeah. Never wireless mic. Oh my God.
Yeah. And it kept dying. And the DJ, like, he could tell I'm nervous. He's like, hey man, you got to turn it on. Turn it on. I'm like, it's dead. And he finally came over there and was like, oh, it is dead. And then he gave me a new mic. So I was already off to a great start.
Yeah.
And it's hard to recover after a mic starts going out. Like that's like nightmare fuel for comedians. Like even like a wired mic, like if it's got like a short in the wire or something and you're trying to like shout your jokes, like it's just nothing makes a comedian unfunnier than when he's fighting with a microphone.
I agree.
Yeah. Yeah, man. And you're not really loud enough too to get away without using a mic.
Not at all.
Because you're barely loud enough with a mic to get your jokes out.
I agree, and that's something I've been working on. And I think it's more of a head thing, or like a mental thing where I don't use the bass.
Right.
In my voice.
So you're kind of just like, "Hi, this is Mikey."
Yeah, exactly.
I buy Adderall for my nephew, or whatever that joke is.
I'm working on rewriting that joke now.
So what is you've been doing comedy for roughly like 7-8 months, not even a year in yet. What's your process at like right now? Like, do are you rewriting stuff you've already written? Are you just still building up material? Like what's your biggest like project when it comes to writing jokes?
So my process is like, I'll have an idea and then I'll kind of work that idea out in my head, write it in my Apple Notes, my iPhone notes, and I have my own speaker system at home that I use for my open mic, and I just sit there on my speakers and I work them out in real time, either in front of my roommate or just myself, the dog. The dog's a harsh critic. He never laughs. So now I'm in the process of rewriting some past jokes while coming up with new ones. But really, I've taken a break from writing, trying to test out sobriety because I used to just drink and just get drunk and just let my mind go and just write jokes while being drunk. So now I'm trying to just kind of not really restart, but kind of restart, if you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't want to get in that crutch of relying on substances.
Yeah, and that's what I was doing. I I would just get shit faced before the mic started, and then just forget material, and then just rely on drunk crowd work, and it wasn't good.
Yeah. That's all you guys, man. Like, I mean, you're that's the big thing about your whole like class right now that I see you guys doing is that you'll have like 2 or 3 buckets of Miller High Lifes just fucking passing them around, and then you get on stage and you're kind of just like, uh,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's
what do I do now?
yeah, that's what we're trying to cut out, or at least I'm trying to cut out.
Yeah. Well, I hope your friends also follow you because that's a good thing to do. You know, that's I think my biggest advice that I try to give open micers on here is to like just behave professionally if you're proud of what you're doing. Like if you know if you're not, it depends on what you want. Like because there are a lot of people who take comedy too seriously too, and I think we all know the people I'm talking about. But if it's not just going to be like a hobby for you, and if it's not just something fun to do, like if you actually want to like get booked on shows and be a working comic, like you gotta kill that shit in the crib, you know?
Yeah, yeah, and that's what I am working towards to be a booked comic.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, you're already there. I see you getting booked more than a lot of other comics in Mobile are.
yeah, yeah. It's been a blessing, but I get booked and then I go and get drunk, and then I'm sure
Yeah.
they're like, why'd I book this guy?
Right. So do you do a lot of writing on stage too? Like if you find something like that works in a joke in a moment, or if you're doing crowd work, like do you incorporate it in your act?
Sometimes, but not often. If I get up there and like I'm not feeling jokes, then I just go into crowd work. But if I'm like in the joke telling mood, I just just start doing my jokes, and I try to work stuff out on stage, but my
Mhm.
mind just doesn't really work like that.
Yeah, it's definitely a muscle you have to work on. Like I know like Jason does absolutely zero crowd work, like doesn't even touch the stuff.
Nope. I
Really?
won't do it. Not that I don't want to, it's just that I have trouble hearing what people say because my hearing is so bad. And I refuse to wear my hearing aid because it's just like, putting in a hearing aid when you've been deaf for 20 years is like sensory overload. So I can't concentrate on anything anyway. So I'm just kind of screwed either way. So I'm like, I'm just not even going to touch crowd work.
And see, but that would be a good crowd work moment though too, to be like, "Speak up, boy! I can't hear you." And like you
But I
put
mean,
your hearing aid in.
It's a
like
it's a good
during
way
the
to
set.
shut down hecklers, though. Like I shut down hecklers before because I told them I can't hear what you're fucking saying anyway, so you might as well shut up.
But if you get jiggy with it, Jason, if you put your hearing aid in to hear someone while you're doing crowd work, and then someone starts heckling you, you just take it out.
Yeah, or you just be like, hold on, I can't hear you. You put it in, and you're just like, yeah, that was stupid. I shouldn't have put this thing in. And then
Or just don't even
take
say
it
anything. Just take it right back out. Just act with it.
out.
See, this is where I'm at in my comedic journey because I feel like I have a world class like 20 minutes, right? That I would put up against anyone else, at least in the region right now. So I want to take that 20 minutes and just get real weird with it, you know? Just make it everyone's problem that I don't have any new jokes. Just get real jiggy.
I would love to see it.
That's pretty much what I did at the Vinyl Music Hall show. Like I just did what I usually do, and then when I had a moment to not do that, I chose like every, path less traveled, where I kind of was just like fucking with people.
I wish I was there. What are you at in your comedic journey? I know you just said that, but are you like just staying away from open mics and just trying to do book shows, or
Yeah, right now me and Jason are, we have a plan that we're trying to work on. Ideally, like if everything falls into plans the way that we want them, we would have a bigger venue down here where we could bring through people who are going from like the Joy Theater to the Sanger, and we want them to like stop here and do a show with us. So people like Mark Normand, Ali Sadiq. We want to have like a showcase show at a nicer bar where we can bring people like Ariel Isaac Norman, Ariel Elias, like people like that to there. And we would love to have a weekly open mic too, where like just the local comics can get up and do time and get booked on other shows. But that's like December 2024 plans. Like that's where we want to be at the very end of this year.
Because we've been talking about it for a while. Like we've gotten so many cool connections with this podcast that we have the perfect spot to have these traveling comedians. Like, as like Jacob said, they come right through here. They just have nowhere to stop. And plus we know all these comedians out of Austin now that we could get over here very easily. We just need a place to do it, or several places that are willing to do it. And I'm not talking about like just open mic shows. I'm talking about full on ticketed, booked shows with regionally touring comedians. That's not going to be, you know, like I don't want the local venues to have to worry about anything. I want me and Jacob to run well-run shows. So that's going to be the uphill battle, is trying to, because of things that have happened here in the past with some of the different comedy organizations that have been here that have kind of ruined it for everybody and burned a lot of bridges. So me and Jacob have a lot of ass kissing to do over the next few months.
Yeah. But I think it's the perfect setup too, because like, you know, right now it's a problem of, I don't think that there are 5 comedians in Mississippi that I can book that are funny enough that I would want to book. So if we bring someone through, well, we have me and Jason. So at the worst case scenario, me and Jason and that person do time. Like, you know, there's no risks as far as that's concerned. So I feel like, you know, once we start doing that, and once comics actually see like, oh, if I do well at the mic, or if I ask for a spot, I might actually get to like open for someone cool. Like there's actually a path up for me. Like we could really start, you know, putting comedy back into the scene and get rid of it being just the same 10 people it's always been.
That sounds like an incredible idea. That sounds beautiful, really.
Thank you. I'm autistic. That's how I come up with all my ideas. I obsess over things and I stem a little bit, and then I come up with really cool plans.
I just hope we can pull it off, because if we pull it off, it's going to be very, very nice to at least have a really good venue to do something in, and make it to where the comedians are going to want to come here. Like show people that we can have shows here that you pay for, that are actual comedy shows, and they're not in a casino. You know, you're not going to pay, you know, $150 a ticket. You're going to be able to see a quality comedy show for a reasonable price, and give something, you know, somebody something to do, like couples to go out on date night, you know, like on a Friday or Saturday night, and go see a really good comedy show. There hasn't been anything here with something like that for a long time.
Yeah. I mean, that sounds like a perfect Friday night. You can do that without having to go to like the downtown area or like a bad spot.
Yeah. And then, you know, they're redoing a lot of stuff in downtown Biloxi now. They're redoing the Sanger Theater, like completely renovating it. It hasn't been used in years. So I'm excited to see what that's going to be like there. We could do stuff there.
I would love to get in contact with those people.
Yeah.
That'd be huge.
What's the name of that bar? What's Morgan Freeman's bar down there?
Oh, Ground Zero.
Ground Zero. We could do stuff there, because that's a really nice place that would probably do well with comedy if it was a ticketed, booked show, and not just.
Yeah, they already have comedy there.
Oh, they do? I didn't even see. That's how bad the advertising is around here. Like nobody, never even heard of it.
Yeah, we can talk about that off air. But the biggest slap in the face to me was that, like, when Ben Bailey came down here, I was able to open for him, just did a guest spot. And I found out that he Ubered from the airport in New Orleans all the way to Mobile, and he got a hotel in Biloxi because that was the most centralized spot for all of his shows, going from Mobile over to New Orleans, over to Lafayette. So this guy who's been on Cash Cab, has major credits, could headline a theater, has a hotel in Biloxi, and isn't doing a show in Mississippi.
Yeah, that's ludicrous. Like that should not happen.
It's the perfect
prime that would have been an opportunity.
Yeah.
Because you look at somebody like Sean Patton too, like plays New Orleans and then he'll go and play Mobile and Pensacola.
Yeah. Or he'll shoot up to Hattiesburg. He'll shoot up a whole other, he'll turn a 2-hour drive into a 4-hour drive and go all the way up to Hattiesburg from New Orleans, because they got better stuff happening 2 hours north than we do. Like if we just had a spot where he could go straight across the line, that's at least an extra, however many $100 for him to get to stop here and then go up to Hattiesburg and then go over.
Yeah. That's, if anybody can get it going, it's y'all. I'm just kind of blown away. Like I didn't even realize that was kind of missing over there.
Yeah, because I mean, you think about it too, even with the casinos, like, the Coliseum books people like John Mulaney and Katt Williams and Hugh Jacks, and then the casinos has the Tom Seguras, the Miss Pats, whatever. Like, there are a lot of other even really big name headliners that could come here that the casinos don't deem big enough to headline the IP or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because I mean, they won't even have Mark Normand over there. Like
I was about to say, I don't think he's quite that casino-esque yet.
And going to see shows at the casinos is cool. Like I've been to a couple of comedy shows at the casinos, but it just doesn't have that, like, I don't know. It's a different feel to it. Like it doesn't have that, like, you're at a comedy show. It feels like you're at a concert or something. Like the venues are so big, like you're so far away from the actual comedians. Like it's cool, but at the same time, like I would rather see be up close and personal with a comedian. Like even if it's just like a theater or something, that seems more like a comedy centric type of thing. Like if you go to a casino, it's like it's a freaking casino. It's like you're going to see, like, I don't know, like a Dean Martin show or something. It's like it doesn't feel like a comedy thing.
An Elvis impersonator.
Yeah.
It kind of lacks the intimacy a little bit.
Yeah, that's exactly it. There's no intimacy to it. It doesn't feel like you can walk outside and meet the comedian afterwards,
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and that's been the coolest thing about Mobile, I think, is that every Mobile show I've ever even just attended, like when we went to see Sean Patton, I was just hanging out on the street when he walked up, and he had done our podcast like 2 weeks before, I think, and he walked up to me and he went, "Zeke?" I was like, "No, man, I'm not Zeke. Zeke's inside." And then he came back outside and was like, "I know you. Where do I know you from?" And like you don't get that, as a seeing a comedy anywhere else. Like you only get that in like cities like Mobile at venues like the Alabama Music Box.
Yeah, like that was the first like bigger show I went to was Roy Scovel, and right after he got off stage, I was like, "Hey man, you want a drink?" And he was like, "Yeah." So I bought him a drink, and then I just asked him some tips about comedy because it was like right when I started, and he just sat there and just gave me a few tips, and I was like, "Holy shit, this is massive."
Yeah, that's valuable advice too. Like that's what really drove me when I first started comedy. Was like I was working Pensacon as a whatever you call it, reporter, journalist, whatever. And I got to meet Steve Agee, and I had worked in comedy, or I had done open mics for a few months, and I asked him just some tips about comedy, and he gave me a ton, and I wrote them down. And anyone who ever told me something contrary to what Steve Agee told me has ended up being a complete and total hack. So just hold on to those tips that Rory Scovel gave you, dude. I'm sure they are gold.
They were, and then I get kind of like made fun of by some of the guys, in the scene. They're like, "Oh, you're over there asking him how to do this and that." I'm like, "Yeah, dude, he's a paid professional comic. Has been through it. Why not get the knowledge from him?"
You were there with us when we met up with Neil Rubenstein, weren't you? Yeah, that was like I wish we could just do more stuff like that. Like have more round tables with known comedians and just get as much information out of them as you can to just better yourself.
That'd be incredible. That'd be a cool YouTube idea too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Always thinking about the content, baby.
Yeah. I got I got something to say about the YouTube content in a minute, but just going back to, talking to other comics, I literally sat there and shot the shit with Rocky Dale Davis in front of the music box. We got drunk and we just started talking about comedy and people he knows in the comedy world. And he's told me a bunch of tips, So it's like huge names, Rocky Dale Davis, Scovel, even like guys are up and coming, Mason James, from Houston, Caleb Sinan. I mean, y'all had the podcast with Caleb Sinan.
Yeah.
Just awesome people, man. And you just learn that they're just normal guys.
Yeah. They're all more than happy to share what they know too. Like, I mean, I know I get excited when there's like a new open micer that comes around that's like, "Hey, man, I'm trying to punch up this joke." And I'm like, "Oh, boy, are you really? I would love. Why would you think I would want to do that with you?" Like, I get like giddy just like actually having someone to talk about comedy with. It's like, "Ooh, new toy. Let's talk about callbacks."
That's one thing I missed the most about. There was the place here called the Wayward Kraken that we used to do comedy at when comedy just kind of got rolling here in town 5-6 years ago. And we used to just, after the open mics, we would all just sit around the tables and outside and just talk with one another and just throw jokes at one another. And like that was such a period of just growth as a comedian. And I just miss that kind of stuff so much.
Yeah, that's my favorite part about it. Like the hang where you could just after your show, you're like, "Hey, man, you should think about saying it this way," and then y'all just hang and then just kind of shoot the shit together and then just make each other laugh. That's my favorite thing about the comedy world.
So speaking of comedy in general, I just wanted to ask you guys, especially you, Jacob, like about what happened this last week with Katt Williams and him just going after everybody.
I think we need to do that about the Gulf Coast comedy scene. Just call everyone on their shit. What are you talking about?
That'd be so fun.
Mikey, you're the same height as Katt Williams. You do it.
Give me some of that drink, that cognac.
Yeah, some of that Shay.
But do you think
that stuff looked good?
You think he was in the right though? Like just going after everybody the way he did?
I think so, especially if he's, if he said some of these guys have just, kind of started talking shit to him or about him and started spreading lies. I mean, I think he was in the right.
Yeah. I think it's important to notice like when, where, and why too. Like he didn't go on Good Morning America trashing them about what they said on Club Shay Shay. He went on Club Shay Shay saying, "These guys all said this about me on here, so I'm going to say this about them on here. And this is the actual truth."
There wasn't any warning either. He just started out hot.
Yeah, he did, dude.
It was awesome.
And Shannon Sharp was like, "You done had a few of them before we started rolling." And he's like, "No, I'm good. I'm not even."
Yeah.
But I think he's right, though, man, because people are coming out and saying, like, there's all kinds of people calling out Steve Harvey and Cedric about stealing stuff. And then, they're when you're that kind of person who's in comedy and Like you just know in your heart of hearts, they're not the greatest comedian. Like neither of them are or have ever been. You know they stole from someone that was better than them along the way. Like it just happened.
Yeah, yeah, I believe it. And what do you think about the Kevin Hart stuff?
That was the craziest part. Okay. I don't think that Kevin Hart's necessarily an industry plant. But I do think that the industry fast tracked him. Like,
Mhm.
because of course they did. I mean, they saw who he was and what he did, and they were like, "Oh, we can easily monetize this, so let's take him out of comedy and put him into acting." But he's not, what he said about there's no one that came up with Kevin Hart. He was at the Comedy Store and the Cellar at the same times. Well, I know guys now that will get on planes and go back and forth. Like he could have very well done that. And, there are pictures of him with Patrice O'Neill and Bill Burr. Like he's with that class of comics. Like I think Katt was just looking at maybe a different class of comics that he thought he should have been with.
Right.
But I mean, it also does make you wonder too, like, because there are a lot of comedians out there that have like Netflix specials and stuff that just aren't that great. And you're like, how do these people get to that point being kind of mediocre?
Yeah.
And I'm not saying I'm the greatest comedian on the planet. I'm not, but I'm not sitting here being mediocre with a Netflix special. I just have a podcast.
Right. Yeah, I think there are some people that the industries look at and see dollar signs, like Tiffany Haddish. Like she has the look, she has the energy, she has everything. Where you put her as a co-lead in a movie and you're gonna make money, but you watch her stand up and it's hot garbage fire. Like,
Yeah.
just is what it is.
Yeah. I I what are some of the Netflix specials that y'all have enjoyed as of late?
I haven't been watching very
I haven't
many. I've
either.
been sticking mostly to the YouTube specials.
Yeah.
I just watched I think the newest one was Nick Mullen, Year of the Dragon. So fantastic, dude.
I'm about to put it on my watch later.
Yeah, he's one of the Come Town guys, and he's one of the funnier ones in my opinion too. And Shane Gillis on Netflix, Beautiful Dogs, dude.
I loved how raw that was. It wasn't like planned out, just like A to B. You could tell it was, just him,
Yeah,
just raw dogging it.
yeah, yeah, dude. Shane's one of probably the funniest comic working right now, and Ralph Barbosa, dude.
I
Like,
was just about to say that was like my favorite one as of late was his special on Netflix.
yeah, I've been telling people about him, dude. I've been telling people about him since before the Tonight Show, and we had been friends on Facebook before then, and I almost pulled the trigger to like DM him to try to get him on the pod before he got like announced he was doing the Tonight Show. And then I saw it and I was like, oh wow, that's awesome. This is the perfect time now to get him on the podcast. And he was already too big at that point to even like, but he does follow us on Facebook. He follows Open Micers. So hopefully maybe he'll see a clip or something and be like, yo, cool. I'll
He
go do
just-
those guys' podcasts since they knew about me before, all
He-
this other shit.
He was just talking on because I watched this Joe Rogan episode and he was just talking about like how he talks to comics who just like DM him, like he DMs people back and if he's in the area and you want to get stage time, just like ask him for stage time and he'll give you stage time. Like he seems like a pretty cool guy.
Yeah. And he's starting to do theaters now too. Like if he ever comes down here, I'll definitely hit him up and be like, yo, dog, you trying to do a show in Mississippi? What's up?
That'd be sick.
Let me do 10 minutes on there.
I think my favorite comedian for a while now is Zoltan Kazas. And I pretty much watch everything he puts out on YouTube. And I've been wanting to get him on the show here for a while, but he puts out enough of his own content. He doesn't have time to come on this show.
Dude, do you want to know the shittiest thing about that?
What?
So I got a hold of Zoltan's email, right?
Uh-huh.
And I emailed him my usual thing to come on the show. And now the Open Micers email is on his like email list. So we get emails from him because I emailed him.
That's cool.
He just ripped our email and was like, I'm gonna send these guys my newsletter now. It's
Yeah, y'all
always
have had
think
some
about the business, baby.
pretty great guests, like Tom Goddard and Sam Talent.
Yeah,
Like,
they're all right. They're no Jason Robbins, but I mean they're okay, I guess.
They're no Mo Alexander because he was the
Yeah.
guest of the year last year for the show.
Yeah, I
yeah,
guess I'd let Mo do 5 in front of me sometime. I don't know. Guess he's all right.
I
He's
still, I, I still
what were you
haven't,
gonna say, Mike?
I still haven't been to one of his shows yet. I've been meaning to.
He's so funny, dude. He's one of those like hidden gem comics where you talk to him and you realize that he's worked with roughly everyone in the business, but for some reason, despite putting out hours, being on the road, doing comedy festivals, like whatever it takes to go into big industry, like no one's doing it for him for some reason. Like I'm not sure why, but it really is a shame because like he has all of the talent and experience to do it.
Man,
See, that's the thing. Like Mo should be one of the people that he should have his own Netflix special. Like why he doesn't have a Netflix special is beyond me because he's easily one of the top 10 comedians in America right now.
is he putting out like clips and things like that on like TikTok and Instagram?
I mean, he knows about them. I don't know if he does them too frequently, but
Oh, there was a little controversy with Mo last week where Dave Chappelle kind of ripped off one of his jokes.
No way.
Yeah, it's
yeah,
pretty
which I
blatant.
will say about that, like it was the joke about the gun knife or whatever Chappelle got attacked with, right?
Hmm.
Like, yeah, I get that Mo did that joke first, but also it happened to Dave Chappelle, so he kind of gets a pass
Uh,
to make his own joke about his own thing,
Yeah,
you
but
know?
still, he needs to give Mo credit for that, though. If he took it from Mo, I mean, it's possible there could be some parallel thinking there, but I don't know. It's kind of too close. Like
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he heard Mo do that joke before. Or somebody
Yeah,
heard Mo do the joke and told it to Dave.
it's entirely possible, but I'm just hesitant too because like that's the real thing that happened to Dave. You know what I mean? Like if someone who's not diabetic took one of my diabetes jokes, then, that would be upsetting. But like maybe that's a bad example, but
But
if it's a real event that happened to you, then that should be your material that you own.
yeah, but at the same time, if I was in Dave Chappelle's position and I did do a joke that was very similar in structure and to another comedian's joke and there wasn't any kind of theft going on, I would address it and be like, hey, I didn't, it was parallel thinking, like that, didn't mean to do that to you.
Yeah, but then if he does that, it's going to have an effect that he doesn't want of making someone else famous instead of him. Like he's not going to big up anyone like that just by saying their name.
Well, I don't know, maybe Mo deserves to be big upped like that.
No, he does. I mean, he for sure does. But Dave Chappelle doesn't strike me as that kind of person that actually, cares about the younger generation coming up. Much like Katt Williams, like you have all these comics coming out now saying like, yeah, Katt took me on tour with him when I was homeless, or he gave me $1,000 randomly
hmm
because he thought I was funny. Like Dave Chappelle ain't doing that, dude, and he has way more money than Katt Williams.
Yeah. Oh, well.
Yeah. I mean, he's
Um,
opening up his own comedy club in a fucking cornfield in Ohio, but he can't, just happen to bring a young funny comic on the road with him.
Yeah. Yeah, it kind of sucks when people get famous and get money involved and then don't help other people in their industry that could
It's
use
selfish,
that lift
dude.
up,
yeah.
It just sucks because I've been a victim of that too. Like I don't want to say any names. 3 doors down. I'm not going to say it out loud, but a lot of help.
3 houses over.
That's a story for another day, though. We'll do
Yeah,
a
I can't wait to hear it.
whole story about that. But we're coming up to the end of the episode, fellas. So Mikey, where can everybody find you on the internet? Tell everybody where your shows are coming up too.
Um, we have a show that we do every Friday now at Certus Coffee in downtown Mobile. Really small, intimate room. Like it's fits 20, 25 people. Beautiful room. Um, we do that every Friday. My other show, my other open mic that I run is Tuesday around 6:30 at Oyster City Brewing Company. I do that early enough so people can get over to the juke joint because I'm a nice fella. Um, you can find me on Instagram. Warren Burner is my Instagram name. Michael Werneth on Facebook. Warren Burner Comedy on TikTok.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
What about you, Jacob? What you got anything on the books coming up?
Multiple windows away. Yeah, me and Jason are going to be doing guest spots at the Bonkers Comedy Club here in Biloxi inside the Boomtown Casino. We're going to be doing spots on Josh Watts' show there when we have an exact date and exact plans lined up. We'll let you guys know about all that.
It's
so you can get tickets and come see us.
Yeah, it's in February sometime. Don't have an exact date yet, but we'll let you guys know as soon as we know.
Sometime in February, and they say it's PG-13 material. I've heard that they don't care, so buy a ticket, come see what happens, see what chaos ensues. I would love to do comedy with at least one person under 60 in the room. That would be fantastic for me. But very excited for that show, and man, we've got a lot of work coming up on this year, man. On the podcast, we're going to be completely overhauling, redoing our Patreon. We've got tons of live comedy stuff that we want to do. I'm working on the blog post for this month right now. So the best way to keep up to date on everything is to sign up for our Patreon. Then you get to go in our producers group chat and you get to have a say in what we do on the podcast. You get to help me brainstorm ideas because Lord knows Jason isn't going to do that. So now I need your help. Give us $1 a month to help me brainstorm some ideas here. Come on.
Yeah, I suck. I don't do anything. I don't do anything on the show here ever.
Mm-mm. No, you can play the music though.
But I do want to say that we're going to be guests on the Brownwater Banter podcast coming up on January 30th, is it? That we're going to be on. And also our headliners episode for the month will be featuring a certain past guest that'll be coming up in the next couple of weeks. But that's going to do it for this episode. And if you want to email us at OpenMicersPodcast@gmail.com. Go to OpenMicers.com. That is our website. That has our vlog and blog and all that kind of cool stuff over there. Linktree/OpenMicersPodcast takes you everywhere you need to go. All the info is right there. And that's going to do it for this week. We love all of you, and we will see all of you next week.
A few crawl spaces along.
Yeah. And thank you guys for watching on YouTube.